So, good morning, beautiful beings. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, letting the beautiful people in. Okay, time, minutes. This is how we construct our reality. Is is our time frame and our time phrases. It's really interesting how it is such a, I want to say, ingrained and important aspect of how we move through reality. And at the same time, it's a construct that constricts our consciousness because we go out of ourselves and into what I have to do next. So I've just been thinking about this whole thing of time that we navigated through. So this whole frequency of being constrained by time, but another another aspect of it is, well, it allows us to be on time and it allows us to mark out time and to understand, oh my gosh, hey, it's 10. I either need to be in bed or I need to be in this meditation on a Monday, those kind of things. So we want to be freed up. And I think the way that we can be freed up by this space-time configuration that we live in and that we adhere to, we could sashay our way through a couple of different ideas to give us that ability to start loosening up a little bit what we what we hold in our body and our consciousness and our memory, right? And our future projections. So, because of everything that we've done and how we've moved up to this point in our work together, and some of you are joining us kind of recently, and some have been with me for a very long time. So we've really evolved through a lot of possibilities, and now it's our moment to play with time, or it's a little more accurately said, it's space-time. And that's this space-time construct is our perception of illusion. That's pretty convincing. I'm pretty convinced right now that there's a table right here. So, but it's our moment to begin to navigate in a slightly different way and to evolve in our navigation possibilities. So let's claim it. So, in converse with that, what I'm noticing is that there are a lot of challenges. It's very interesting. In my immediate circle, I, of my friends, there's three or four of them, their brothers just died. A very good friend of ours is passing today or tomorrow. I mean, it's all of this is happening around us. And I'm sure you have your own challenges as well. So the challenges then, it can bring us closer to the truth as we navigate through them, or it can sometimes even feel like it slams us down deeper into the construct. So, and 2025, I just heard the astrology of it. And like I said, I don't pay a lot of attention to astrology, but every once in a while something comes through and it feels like a very deep resonation. So I know, especially June and July, we're going to have to be on our toes. And there are some things that have deep potential to just to show up, and that we're going to have to not only navigate through, but we're going to have to wonder if what we came to the planet for, this is the time now to be that and to remind ourselves. And I've got some suggestions kind of at the end, and then we're going to do some spiral time together. So don't forget the triple L, love, love, love. Really, in any moment, like even this morning, I woke up and I was cogitating on something. And I went, all of a sudden, I went, oh, I'm attached to how this is going to work out this week. I'm like, okay. So, what would you advise somebody? Well, I would advise them to do love, love, love to start because that's the simplest and easiest way to bust the ego when you're having an ego burst. Bust the burst with love, love, love. Okay. So what helps? What helps is realizing our awareness that time with our awareness that time is more fluid than we think. And we talked about this a little bit last week. And if you weren't here last week, it's a good idea to go have a peek at what we brought forth. So although time appears to be anchored in the universe, outside of Earth time beyond 3D, there is no time. There's no big clock out there. There's not the center of the universe going, looking at some kind of formatting going, well, y'all only have, 12 billion years to go on Earth, so get it together. It's not like that. There's predictions, looking at cycles in the sun and many of these things are said, but what's also true is that there's parallel worlds, and we really are talking about two Earths, 5D Earth and 3D Earth. Now we're touching base with that 5D Earth. We're touching into it in our own group work, and then in our personal work. And I really encourage you to find ways to make that very real for you. The dimensions beyond here are not limited by the construct of time. They are just moment. And it has a very particular ring to it, a very particular sensation, this moment, this moment. And I keep telling myself, minutes to moments, minutes to moments, so that even though I got myself recently a very cool clock that has the galaxy on it, I really, really, oh my gosh, and there's a bird coming in right now just to say hi. Try to come in through the window. Hi. Hi, love. So anyway, in these congregation of moments that we register as time, we have the ability to really come into our presence, come into our presence, come into our presence with that. Now, so realizing that neither time nor space is real, when you step out of space-time, I'm going to say ST is space-time, you enter timelessness. And again, we covered some of this last week. And you need to remind yourself of this for many moments. And if you find yourself in your head about something, yeah, oh, and you could just go, moment. And sometimes what I do is I put the back of my hands together. And in my iconography, this is like 3D, and this is 5D. So I put them together and I maybe shift a little bit to the left. So this is my left over here. And I just do a little shift and remind myself, right, 5D is here. It's here now. It's right here. It's here now in this moment. So then watch your use of these words: minutes, days, weeks, months, years. sometimes you have to use them. You do. You say, okay, I'm going to be there in 10 minutes. You're telling that to someone. But in your mind, you're going, many moments from now, I shall be there. And then you could even say, many moments from now, I shall be here. And then you can say, in every moment, I am here. So you could progress through that to get yourself here, because here and now is what counts. And also, in your own consciousness, play with referring to the past or the future as now. And I'll give you a little example of that. So I have, sometimes in my work, it's really clear that someone needs, an emotional clearing, and it's stemming, we'll just say, from childhood. And they're bringing something to the table, literally, and we're going to go, okay, well, that sounds like it happened when you were 12. Yes, that's what happened. And so we time travel to that moment, and it is still happening. It is still real. It is now. And as we bring our awareness and our energy field and consciousness to it, it actually gets even more alive. And we can interact in that version of time space as now beings. And we might even be considered guardian angels. You know how they used to say you have two guardian angels, and if you're having a tough time, they would come. Well, we could be those guardian angels. We could, because we have that consciousness now from the higher realms. So we show up in now, and we see very clearly what was not happening, and we interact to provide that frequency. It could just be love, it could be peace, it could be an embrace, it could be some wisdom, but there we are, right there now. And you know what happens? And I've said this before, it ripples right back to this now, because it's all now. It's all now. And we're getting to have the experience of figuring that out. How cool. Okay, so time is also relative to the amount of energy being expended to navigate this reality. So, an example could be, if you're shoveling stones and you're using a lot of energy, it could feel like it was really taking a lot of time. Time in some ways would, in a way, it would speed up because you're using a lot of it. Okay. So we need to accumulate energy to keep our perceptions fluid. So this is why we do practices. Every time you do a spiritual practice, whether it's a meditation or an affirmation or an I am, or, well, just even say an act of kindness, you're accumulating energy. And that energy is going to go into your field of awareness, into your consciousness. And the more energy you accumulate, the more it'll occur to you to be in the moment. Yep. You'll be oh, yeah, I was just in my head there. Okay. Yeah, this moment, this now. And so as we accumulate the energy to keep our perceptions fluid and attuned to our ascension process, and also the ascension frequencies that are vibrating right here, right now. New Earth is here. 5D Tara Earth is here now. We're just way, way acclimated to, what we just call 5D Earth. But 5D Tara is the new name for Earth, and 5D Tara eventually will go to 7D Gaia avatar frequency. It will happen. Okay. So I want you just to put your hands out like this right now and just imagine you can sense behind what is appearing to be real here now. 5D Tara. And you'll feel something coming through from her. Love and grace. So we're going to keep her possibility alive here for the rest of our moments here. The universal one does not waste energy. It really doesn't. And it seeks to use energy of the highest and most efficient manifestation for ascension technology. You know, the whole, what we perceive as this whole universe is in this fluctuation of ascension. It's in an expansion, ascension modality. Now, ego fear uses up vital energy and it throws us into 3D density. I want you to just take a moment. Oh, I can't do that because X, Y, and Z. Well, this is what could happen. You know, well, I'm angry because I didn't get enough. You know, that uses up energy and it takes up moments. It takes moments and turns them into minutes or hours. We don't want that. We would prefer the switch to that other frequency. Okay. So free yourself from ego fear. And, you know, as I said in the beginning, love, 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 love. If it's feeling pretty tough, love, 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 love. And you pause. 7 loves. That's avatar love. Love, 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 love. Sometimes we need the avatars to bust through for us. So we call upon them. 7 loves. Love, 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 love. And then we get to bust through right here, right now. So this whole awakening, this whole awareness that's blooming, and oh my gosh, this whole track that we have been on for so many meetings. We've had a lot of, well, we've had at least 200 because that's how many videos there are. So we've had at least 200. And there's even more beyond that. So in this, all of this, what we're going to call work, there's also been a non-work where we let go, where we surrender. There's a non-work. We call it the work, but really it's the surrender. I think we should start calling it our meditation surrender rather than our meditation work. So we're being called oneness as a natural progression using the least amount of energy. This is what it's all about today. So this is called, in physics, the principle of least action. And it doesn't mean, doing as little as possible. It translates really to ascending with ease and grace. In other words, something occurs to you, well, I've been doing it this way, but if I just do this, it takes so much less energy. So sometimes what that translates to is you come into your house and you have your arms full of things and you put them on the table and you take that one thing because you have to go over here and get something warm on, and then you notice this and you take this here. And so there's this kind of fluidity, not a have to. You have to keep your house clean. There's a fluidity in action to keeping everything in a flow. sometimes in our personal space and sometimes in our flow out in the world. So as you surrender, as you wish to move with ease and grace, you must surrender to the moment whenever you can remember. Surrender to the moment out of the construct of time and into the accurate experience of this manifestation of reality, which is timelessness, 5D now, timelessness. And when you really go into timelessness, there's this expansion that happens of consciousness. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is accurate. It's like people who have near-death experiences, they get the whole picture. Oh, my golly. And then, of course, they come back. And sometimes they're able to retain that and live that and teach us. And then, of course, there's, the beautiful masters who've done so much work and they they've been there and done that and manifested that ability to hold timelessness within them and radiate it out. And this is our goal, to be masters of timelessness. Okay? If you have a pen right now, I want you to write that down. I am a master of timelessness. I am mastering timelessness. I am a master of timelessness. And that can be something that's actually fun. I'm writing a book right now about the journey to enlightenment, and I'm giving all our little secrets away, our hacks. And I'm like, well, a hack is something really quick, and well, enlightenment is something that takes a long, long time and a lot of work and focus. And no, the apparent paradox is that enlightenment's already here. We're just nudging into it. We're stepping into it. We're shifting into it, one shift at a time. So here's another thing. So I've been reading a book on that is talking about physics, and here's what's trippy. A curved line of movement takes less time to reach a destination than a straight line. What? No, if I walk over there, where you see as you walk, you're already moving in a curve because the planet is curved and it's moving around the sun and it's rotating. So we are moving in curves. And when you're in that consciousness of being aware of that, because to me, what I've realized is a straight line is ego. A straight line. And if you look at what I'm going to call the earth grid, it's lines. Yes, they're curved, but it's creating these boxes. And we want something that is more like a sine wave, right? We've talked about the sine wave. Because they used to think light went like that, but then they did experiments and they realized from where the light particles were ending up as they projected it through slits, that it was actually light actually moves in a sine wave, and you are light. So you are a sine wave made manifest. I like it. So, and we're working here now with the spiral effect. And we talked about this last week that we don't want to loop. We don't want to circle anymore. We're not going to sit in a circle. We're going to be present in the moment in a spiral. We are a spiral. We are a crystalline spiral of evolving and ascending frequency. That's what we are. And by golly, that's what we are. So if you're moving with your mind, ego mind, moving in a linear trajectory requires more energy. I've got to do this. Okay. It's interesting. I was watching a tennis match, the finals at the French Open, and one of the women, she's American. She's like 19, and I think that young lady is somewhat enlightened. I've watched her since she was a young one. She's amazing. The other one is I can tell, was very programmed and, kind of almost like a scream every time she hits the ball. And I'm like, girlfriend, you're using a ball because I'm writing this as around the time that I'm like, you are using up a lot of your energy. And what it did is it took her out of the moment. I watched her. And if she made a mistake, she went into her head and she's like, and looking at her body. And so I watched that and I go, here is the absolute perfect example of someone using energy via their ego to not be in the flow. And she's number one in the world, this one. She's overpowered a lot of people. Guess what? Number two, Coco, it was her time. And I watched her. And, to watch them, number one, they're going to run, 25 yards to get a ball and flip it. They're going to do magic there because of their training. But I watched because she was so in the moment. She made some incredible shots and she won. Very, very proud of her because she's young and she's just wonderful young lady. So there was that example of her using her mind and going like this in her vocal. And in a way, it's a little bit playing, distracting to the other person unless they've learned to tune it out. So when you're operating in the construct of linear time, this is the controlling construct of the world, and this will slow you down. And you go, well, how are we going to do it differently than that? Well, one way is to remind yourself. Number two is, I remember even today there was a moment, and I wanted something to happen because I have a tight schedule on Monday mornings. And I went, no, and I surrendered. And it all worked out absolutely perfect. One moment. So what happens, the more you surrender, the more you start noticing like, oh, I could surrender there. That wouldn't be easy. That just has to do with TIME. So be in the moment, surrender, and let's see what happens. And it all worked out absolutely perfectly. So, it allowed a beautiful flow to happen. Very gorgeous, nature-filled flow. So when you are able, move along the most effortless path to the moment. And this is, as I'm saying, this requires a graceful surrender to the what is of the 5D moment. So something's always trying to come through for you. Really, we're going to learn this, that 5D is knocking on our door all the time. It's right here, right now. And yet things are coming up. It's like, well, that's just one more moment where I got to understand I'm allowed to surrender. And nothing but good stuff happened. And so then I observed the expression of the experience with detachment, and then off we went. So the other thing I'm going to say, if possible, take yourself on a 5D walkabout every morning to enroll in this possibility. So I take my little doggy dog, the older one, and she likes to go for a morning walk. And I said, let's go for a 5D walk. And as we're walking, I'm listening to nature and feeling my feet on the ground and letting her do her absolute in the moment surrender to the flow of her movements. And I shift. And I can tell my body shifts in those moments. And part of this is being love in those moments. Because that's Tara, right? timelines are not linear. They're perceptual resonations of our soul's evolutionary spiral. And again, we talked about this, you're here to evolve back to oneness. And I really honestly know in my heart that all of you, if you so choose, don't have to come back here this time unless you choose. You can reignite your interest in Earth by perhaps coming back to Tara, 5D Tara. But really, we perceive these timelines as that's the past, this is the future. It's this because you're learning lessons. And even if you weren't learning your lessons, you'd be looping. So that'd be a circle. And this is, it's really interesting. I learned this other idea where if you're moving in a linear fashion, which is non-fluidity with the energy of the universe goes, you know what, you're doing this thing. You got to get back to the curve. So it's going to come along and it's going to go like that. And it's going to knock you and you're like, get back on the curve. You're like, oh, yeah, now I'm in the flow again. But then you get attracted to something else. So you're moving like this, well, I got to get this done. And the universe goes, no. And it goes, and it knocks you and you get back on the curve. And that's what our challenges are. They're little nudges to get back on that flow, because we want to, it's not just a curve, we want to maintain that spiral flow in our life. And we also have to remember that worlds upon parallel worlds create this multiverse that we live in, and we're encountering these worlds into one concise perceptual experience via the challenges that come to us. And so sometimes we get in our heads about what's going on, and sometimes I would just suggest, just say, this is a very interesting challenge. I wonder what the lesson is. I wonder where this is originating from. I wonder what is the best way for me to come back into the moment. Using the word I wonder. And I will continue to remember to wonder. So even as you evolve through this timeline, there are parallel timelines that are bleeding through to this space-time event. So be prepared to enter, then resolve these timelines to collapse them into the present moment. So all timelines must be resolved to experience self as oneness, okay? To experience the self, you, as oneness, these timelines must be resolved. And you all really have the awareness to resolve these timelines. And sometimes it's just dreaming them through. Sometimes it's just surrendering to a moment, not knowing. And as you do this is enlightenment. Okay, so here's something that came to me during COVID. COVID had its gifts to us. One of them is this very Zoom platform we're working on. I'm so grateful for it. I get to reach out with and be with all of you on the quantum, and we don't have to be on telephones. So one of the things that came to me was the need for fluidity. And for me, I experienced yoga, you do a pose and then you unwind from it, and then you go do another pose. And there was a regiment to it that was really good, but there was the fluidity. And there was some other kind of flow yogas and things like that, but there's something missing, and that was the sassiness. And I called it the sashay. And I realized that so many of us hold so much tightness in our psoas and iliacus hip flexors, because that's where you register fear. Ego fear is in those two muscles. So I would have my students put their thumbs on the top of their hips on the side and shift from side to side. And I called it the sashay. And the sashay could be side to side or could flip up, kind of like a belly dancer. And I will say that this one belly dancer patient, she showed me this, and I thought it was brilliant. And so what I'm saying, hey, employ the sashay. You can sashay your way over to the kitchen counter. And you can twirl time by tuning into the sounds around you, nature, um, uh, even a street sound, a jet way, way up in the sky. Um, the sensory of what you're experiencing when you sit. Got a challenge in all of this? Linked to our collective crystalline spiral. Just in your mind, go, yeah, spiral. I'm there. We're there. We are. We are the spiral. And then keep saying, I'm shifting to the totality of 5D now. And we tend to say what we don't like that's happening. And I say what you know to be true, which is that you are ascending in alignment with this beautiful process being offered to us on the planet. So again, we talk about, timelessness, and then it's infinite perception, and it's eternal knowingness, and it's immortality of consciousness, and timeless existence in 5D now. And it's good to imagine this once in a while. Like right now, let's all just pick one and be that together on our spiral. Let's just do it. I'm going to do that one. Okay. And as soon as I really get it and then tune into you, the spiral appears. And it begins to move as each of you log on. And it's just this beautiful, slow movement. Beautiful. And, just take a moment and imagine if you were infinite perception, just the expansiveness of that, and the godliness of that. And that too, that infinite perception is not linear, it's a spiral. It really is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, how to resolve the construct of time? We have some more suggestions. Okay. I know that you're working on this, but here's some more suggestions. Stay fluid in your observations. Move through density with awareness. Here's a big one. Resolve judgments. You're driving down the road and you see some trash on the road and you start to think about that and you go, no. And you just come back to the moment. Let your tendency to judge be a reminder to come back in the moment. That's even better. And again, when I notice that I'm going to drift into judgment because I just heard something on the news that really, really doesn't seem right, I just take my finger and make the spiral. release attachments as they arise. You're like, oh yeah. Well, I guess I was attached to that. How interesting. But no judgment. You're just like, interesting. Oh, I'm having a little difficult releasing that attachment. Okay, love, 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 love. And make it fun. Maybe you just, a little either silliness or a little bit of jousting yourself, but really, whenever you can, make it fun. And then, wow, this requires something really big. Be in the moment with an I am. Pick one of the big ones: love, peace, freedom, oneness, sentience, grace. Pick a big one. Okay. And we've got a lot of those delineated out for you in our videos. And then log on to our spiral configuration, as I said, and just be. And in time, you'll be able to do that while you're mopping the kitchen floor. Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay, beautiful beings. Let's spiral. So we're just gonna drop in together and see where we go. See what comes through from our so no guidance force showing up for us. Just like, yeah, you guys are doing such a good job. I'm gonna show up for it, all y'all. Okay, thank you. Okay, so here we go. Let's just choose your moment. Close your eyes. And I'm going to have you all pick an I am in this moment. And as you exhale, let the word now accompany that exhale. Offer up your now to our spiral. Follow that now to this very, very moment. And then love, love, love. Love, love, love. And even as we utter those love, love, loves, the spiral begins to clarify. Comes up meaningfulness to its spin. It's not randomly spinning. It's attuned to our fields and our collective I see field. And then nod your head slightly. Say yes, 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 yes. And then we're being invited to pull in those minutes, those days and weeks that we're projecting ourselves as, and escort them into the spiral. And that could be a minute or a day or week from 20 years ago, or something that you assume may happen in the future. Spiral says, bring it on. And then you keep the love, love, love going, please, if you would be so kind. You might even say something like, free to be, the mantra of non-attachment. I would ask to right now to particularly pull in future fear, future fears. That's a big one. Future fears. And Spiral says it's not real. And anything that arises, allow it just to come up and feed it into the spiral. And then come back to your I am. Love, love, love. Very good, everyone. You're doing great. One more round of I ams. And then something just ahead of you today, an errand, a meeting, anything, just put that into the spiral just as a fun experiment. And say the word moment, 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 moment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I'm seeing the word attachment. And so if that comes up for you in these following moments, just offer it to the spiral. Just offer it, offer it. And let that spiral go clockwise. It's much easier to go clockwise and up. And then one last intention, a sashay through your beautiful ensuing DAY. And sometimes we can just practice the sashay with just a little movement, or we can put on a little music and move. Keep it fluid. We deserve it. All right, beautiful beings. This has been this moment's up level to 5D with Dr. Valérie Girard. Um, Wonderful to have you join us. And we will have a full moon meditation this Tuesday night. It will be the delicious strawberry moon. And apparently, it will be a full moon very close to the horizon. So when you see it, it may appear a beautiful color. I hope that for you. Okay, so if you can join us. And if for some reason you are joining us and you didn't get an invite, it's a different um, it's a different code. So just email me at classes@panharmonic.com. Okay. Many blessings. Namaste. And I'll say, have a gorgeous, momentous day.